How's it going out there? I'm gonna try to go fishing in the morning. We'll see how that goes, man. 5:30. Avoid the heat. Might suck. Doesn't look like a lot of people are gonna be here. What's new? $34. Awesome. Yeah, looks like Jason survived his surgery or whatever you call it, procedure. Nice. I tried calling him earlier, but then he called me back, and I was busy doing something at that time. All right. Anyways, I just thought tonight we could go over just random stuff here and there, and you guys can ask questions, or we could talk about whatever the hell you want to talk about. I don't know. It just seems like right now we're sort of in a malaise of, I don't know. Like even everybody's just looking for some angle on something, and I'm just, I don't know. I've pretty much said all my thoughts, really. We you know how we have the fund that we have for DNA funding. We have one of the cases we're doing with identifiers is called we call her Party Girl. All right, it's a pretty weird one. I'll show you what it says about it. This is one of the ones that we're doing. It said, the date of discovery was March 25th, 1976. Location of discovery was Highland Park, Wayne County, Michigan. And there's no newspaper articles on this. I don't have a boat, but I have a kayak that you can pedal. It has pedals on it. It's pretty sweet, actually. It's pretty fun using it. So let's see. The location was Highland Park, Wayne County, Michigan. Estimated date of death just hours prior, and then she had a recognizable face and everything. That's probably her in the picture that you see up there. I mean, that looks like they just sort of put different hairstyles on a face that they took photographs of. Because if you notice, all the facial structure is the same in each one. Yeah, that'd be cool. Estimated age 15 to 25 years old. She was white, female, 5'8", 150 pounds, brown shoulder length hair. Her eyes were blue-green, and she has unknown. There's distinguishing mark features are unknown. Let's see, identifiers available. Some of her upper front teeth overlapped slightly. No fillings or cavities. Fingerprints are available. And it says DNA is not available here, but there is DNA that's available. They're actually, I mean, if you look up the case and it actually mentions identifiers as being like on Google, they're the ones that are doing genealogy on it, and we just happen to be the people that are paying for the IgG. So her clothing were maroon socks, dark colored blouse, black and white check slacks, size 32, and a black bra. And then circumstances. It's just pretty weird. The decedent passed out after a night of partying at a residence at 308. I guess we could look at that. 308 Buena Vista Street. And this must be in Highland Park, Michigan. Let me just type that in. We can tell. We can probably just look at it and see that it was probably there, and looks like an old house. Yeah. Wow, look at that. Yeah, that's so there was a party at that house right there. And was unable to be woken. So they were at the party and they weren't able to be woken up. She was transported to the Detroit Osteopathic Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. The decedent may not have been from the local area. She just met the people she was staying with that same evening. She had been picked up from 7 Mile in Detroit. She claimed to be a runaway from a group home in Ohio and introduced herself as Bill. Okay, Bill, right? I mean, Bill. NCMEC estimates her age at 17 to 20. And then I think they had, let's see, this might be the, okay, this is name, I think Namus is what we just did, right? Okay. That's the same thing. Okay. Let me type that. It was weird. I did a Google search, but when I saved it, it didn't store it the same way. All right, here it is right here in Google. If you type in unidentified woman who died at a party in 1976, Michigan, went by Bill. This picture here is not her. That's some other case. But they said the woman you are referring to is known as Bill or Jane Doe, an unidentified teenager who died on March 25th. And I'm pretty sure that's the same one. Let's just make sure. Yeah, March 25th. In Highland Park, Michigan, after overdosing at a party. Her true identity remains a mystery after spending her final evening with strangers who only knew her as Bill or Billy. And the date, March 25th, 1976, location Buena Vista Street, Highland Park, Michigan. Transported to Detroit Osteopathic Hospital. Estimated age is 15 to 25. Physical description, 5'8". So it's kind of interesting, like 5'8", Billy, weighing 150 pounds with shoulder-length hair and blue-green eyes. She had slightly overlapping top-front teeth. Clothing, dark-colored blouse, black and white check slacks, size 32, a black bra, and maroon socks. Her story: the woman had been picked up hitchhiking along 7 Mile in Detroit earlier that evening. During the party, she told the people she was with that her name was Bill and that she had run away from an Ohio group home. Investigators believe the details about the group home might have been an alias, as authorities were never able to connect her description to missing persons reports from that era. Decades later, her case remains an active cold case. Her DNA and genetic genealogy have been submitted to organizations in hope of restoring her name. And if you type in, it says, if you want to share some of your theories, it says you can view her official profile at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That's another place that we support when you guys help support the channel. And currently tonight we're at 0. So if anybody's out there and you have the ability to help support the channel, that would be great. Let's see what it says in here. An unidentified female, and we've had this under our, like what we're paying for like a couple of years for sure. An unidentified female was found deceased in Highland Park, Michigan on March 25th, 1976. Authorities found the female deceased within a few hours after she had passed away at a residence on Buena Vista Street. She is estimated to have been 17 to 20 years old. She had shoulder-length brown hair and blue eyes. She stood 5'8", tall, and weighed approximately 150 pounds. No dental fillings or cavities were observed in her teeth. Some of the upper front teeth did overlap slightly. I think we already, yeah, that's just like the last part of it. That's what she looked like, they said. Hey, thank you, Justin Sally. Yeah, and then this is an actual, one of the very few like news articles on it. Young woman found dead in Highland Park 45 years ago. Still hasn't been identified. Bill was found dead on March 25th, 1976. Police are raising awareness about a young woman who had been found dead 45 years ago in Highland Park. She has never been identified. The young woman was found dead in Highland Park on March 25th, 1976. Police said she was found within a few hours after she had died at a residence on Buena Vista Street. Officials did not say how she died. That's probably why, the drug overdose is probably why, it didn't make it to the paper. Police, but it should have made the paper because it was unidentified. Police believe she may not have been from the Highland Park area, as she had just met the people she was staying with that evening. Police said her name or nickname may have been Bill, and she might have been a runaway from Ohio. The National Center for Missing Exploited Children had a forensic artist depict what the young woman may have looked like when she was alive. She had no dental fillings or cavities, but some of her upper front teeth did overlap slightly. Investigators believe she was between 17 and 20. Yeah, so that's where that is. But here's another thing that's interesting is they've got the DNA. They've got DNA, but it's not the strongest. They're still trying to work through it to get a full thing. But they have enough, and it's interesting because the DNA sample that they have, it turned out to be a guy. Okay. Now it could be that there's an error somewhere in the pipeline. Like somebody gave the wrong sample to somebody. But when you look at it and you say, okay, 5'8", 150 pounds, they went by Bill. Maybe this was somebody that was a transgender back in 1976. And I don't know why the medical examiner, though, wouldn't have realized, maybe they didn't really check like they should have. I don't know. So somebody somewhere is going to have to answer some questions if to make sure that the right sample was obtained. Isn't that wild, though? They go by Bill, 5'8", 150 pounds. That's guy proportions, really. And, nobody knew who the hell this person was. And it turns out that the genetic material points to it being a male. So I don't know what this is going to lead to. I think you would still do genetic genealogy, see where it leads, and maybe it makes sense. It's a dark-haired person. They have that killer eyes, etc., etc., etc. Are you guys even here? Seems like that would be sort of an interesting thing for people to comment about. I don't know, man. When you guys do this where you're not talking in the chat, that's why we don't get a lot of people showing up, because YouTube looks at it and goes, oh, nobody's communicating over there. It must suck. All right, so when you guys are just dead as a doornail in the chat here, as I've told you literally 50 times, that's what happens. Now, I don't know how to make something more interesting to you. I could sit there and jump around and bang at tambourines and do some cartwheels or something. I don't know how to do it. Let's see. So we had that one. And then there's also the one that we're doing. It's one that we're looking into doing. Is this one right here? It's right, the decomposing body found in Daytona Beach building. This is 1995. Police are investigating the death of a man whose decomposing body was found Sunday afternoon inside a vacant building. The victim has not been identified, and the cause of death has not been determined. There was no evidence. Hello, Wild Bill Wassman. There was no evidence of trauma to the body or any indication of struggle or confrontation. So this might be another drug overdose, but we're trying to, I mean, everybody, you want to give everybody their name back, right? It's like you don't know who these people are. They're just bodies that are buried somewhere. An autopsy has begun to determine what killed a man whose body was found Sunday decomposing in a vacant house. A strong odor attracted Joetta Thomas' attention Sunday to a lot near South Ridgewood Avenue. Let's see. It says, after entering the building, she found the dead man lying on his back, a sack of clothes nearby. Police spokesman Al Tolley said authorities have not identified the man or determined his race because of the body condition. The Volusia County Medical Examiner began a preliminary examination late Monday and is expected to complete its probe Tuesday or Wednesday. Ms. Thomas told police she first noticed an odor around the lot at 500 South Ridgewood Avenue 2 days ago. Police could not say how long the body may have been there. Yeah, and this is, it's in October, so it's like late summer just ended. So that's one that we're doing, or we're trying to do that one anyways. And then, here's something that's crazy though. I was, remember that one case, the Addison County doe in Vermont, near Middlebury College, really? It's right there. That's that, the mother, there was like a mother and both children, two children, were killed and wrapped in an awning. Do you guys remember that one? Thank you, Holly Cake. All right, right. Currently, we are at 1/30th of a nightly goal. All right. So if you guys have the ability to help support the channel, that'd be great. Yeah, well, I was thinking about that case because, I don't know, months ago, Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick said that they were thinking of, they were communicating with them again because we had already attempted, spent some money on it a long time ago, but weren't able to. It was such bad DNA. And then so today I called over there. I just randomly looked up Addison County Medical Examiner and called a number, and the person answered the phone, and I explained who I was, and they go, "Oh, the FBI has that now." And I was like, "What do you mean the FBI has that?" We, anyways, I just, okay, then I eventually just hung up the phone, and then I called Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick, and I said, "Yeah, I was just calling up about the, the Vermont doe," and she goes, "Oh." She goes, "Yeah, the FBI have that one now." And she said, and she just called there like yesterday. What are the odds of that? Like, she called there yesterday. They said the same thing. I don't know why the FBI would go out and look at a 1935 case that's just like, and then go get the bones and bring it into their office. But like, she had just called there the day before that. And I was just like, that's incredible. I've never called them. And I called there, and then, so apparently the FBI has that, those samples now. It's such an interesting case, though. I went and found a whole bunch more. They even identified where the awning was sold and stuff like that. You guys would probably be interested if we went over the whole thing again. It's crazy. There was even a dentist They were wondering if it was a dentist who did it and then got rid of the records because these people had extensive dental work on them. And they never were able to find out who they were. No, there was never anybody reported missing either. But hey, guys, if you could please help support the channel, that would be great. I think we're at $9 currently. So if you guys have the ability, that would be fantastic. $9.98. Yeah. Well, now we're at $14.98. 1/20th. Thank you. Yeah. So, anyways, I called over there just to say, hey, where are you guys on this? And then they said that the FBI had it, and I didn't really. I go, what do you mean? I mean, you're saying this particular case? And she goes, yeah. And it was weird too because the way she sounded. And then when I called Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick up, the way she answered and was sort of disappointed when I mentioned it, I was like, she must already know, And it was just so weird that she called like the day before, and then I called the next day randomly, and we both found out that the FBI has the sample. So, but it would be cool because we were part of the, the process. Like we literally, sent the DNA in, went to enrichment. I think we spent thousands of dollars on it. And it just was so old and had so much bacteria in it. It didn't lead to anything. Thank you, Michelle H. So I thought that was pretty cool. And it's weird. There's all these pictures and photographs. What do you got? Maybe on a. What about Sunday night if we did that? We go back over that one. It's crazy. Look at all the the files in there. Tons of them. And this one right here is just somebody that maybe David Lee. There was somebody that could have been that person's family. So I had those in there too. But you go all the way back in here, and bodies of 3 persons were found tied in canvas sacks near Middlebury. So you have all that. I mean, I would just read the whole damn thing, though. I think it would be so interesting. I don't know if we ever have done that particular, like all the way through. And they were all skeletons. And it goes all the way through. Investigators believe bodies found in Middlebury Woods were wrapped in awning. And they found out it was an awning and then went and I think it's like this one. Yeah, right here, look. Awning on skeleton is identified. So they identified the awning. So that's what they used to do, that crazy old, I guess they call it gumshoe detective stuff. What may be a tangible clue in solving the mystery of the 3 skeletons found in Middlebury, Vermont last week was discovered here tonight with the identification of a piece of awning in which the bodies were wrapped. Not wild. So we could, mark that, put that on a map, or whatever. I'm just saying, there's a ton of stuff in that one. That's why it's always been one that was interesting to me. There's a mother and 2 children, and it's like, okay, well, the person who killed him, is that the father, or is it like some gangland hit where they took out the father and then, then they took the family somewhere else and killed them? But they were all apparently like nude, wrapped in the awnings. That's kind of weird, isn't it? Thank you, Wild Bill Wassman, for gifting a membership. What's this one? Yeah, I was actually trying to find if I could figure out, like, if there's any missing persons. I don't know. It's pretty crazy case, though. It was neat to, this has been one for a year. We've been trying to do something with that for at least 5 or 6 years, maybe 7. It's been a long time. I think it was even before like the Bibb County Doe, Daniel Armentrout. Daniel Armentrout. All right. Oh yeah, there's some stuff in the, I think Elena Moore. There was this little clip on in here. See, I mean, none of this is really relevant to me. They're trying to turn it into the case with the pastor, you know, Micah Miller. But here's what it says. This is Elena Moore, you know, the lady that was walking by Publix and found under a bridge.
We are now learning she reportedly made some cryptic posts in the months leading up.
So you use the word cryptic.
To her disappearance.
Like as if there's a hidden meaning.
These very emotional messages were apparently posted to a second Instagram account that she ran. In a May post acquired by TMZ, Moore seemingly wrote,
"Hey, look at that. It's Carl with a C. How's it going?
Now all I feel is this exhausting hatred sitting inside my chest because of you. I never wanted to become this person. I never wanted to look at someone I once loved with disgust and resentment. But you turned my life into something painful, something heavy, something I now have to heal from every single day. I hate what you did to me. I hate the memories that won't leave me alone. And more than anything, I hate that a part of me still mourns the person I thought you were." In March, Moore reshared another lengthy message that read in part, "The war is over." She said she was genuinely happy someone was no longer in her life. The message continued, "Everything feels lighter, like a weight I carried for so long is finally gone."
Right. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, all that really tells me is that she maybe went out and took her life. Okay. That's about it. There's no, like, I don't look at it and go, "Ooh, wow. Oh my God, this guy, he did something to her." Okay. You know, who knows how things were. She seems to have had sort of a mental problem going on and seemed to be like hallucinating and seeing things and stuff. So I don't know what that means. It might not mean a damn thing. But like I said before, guys, if you're out there and you have the ability to help support the channel, that would be great. I would appreciate it. We're just trying to, right now we're on the 24th of the month, trying to flow into the rest of the month. I don't really get anything out of stuff like this.
And in December of
it's gonna turn
last year, she posted about what she described as a dehumanizing heartbreak. Now, friends are speaking out. One friend telling TMZ that Moore had been cutting toxic people out of her life and that her disappearance was, quote, absolutely shocking because this was out of character for her and she was constantly active.
Yeah, I don't know.
On social media. Another friend previously claimed that Moore had been acting paranoid in the weeks before she vanished and expressed fears for her safety. Moore was reported missing by her husband, Brandon Slice, on June 12th. It was 5 days later when police found her body in a wooded area. The Lexington County coroner says in the preliminary autopsy findings, there was no immediate cause of death identified and no signs of trauma or...
Right. That's because she didn't die from that. Whoa! What the hell? Look at that. Carl with a C. Thank you, Carl with a C, for gifting 20 memberships to unsuspecting freaks out there. Who are all these people? I should check them all out, see when their accounts were created. Maybe 17 of them are good. Hey, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. What have you been doing, Carl with a C? Why are my shows always so bad for your for you to watch it live, I guess. I don't know. Elena Moore, her husband or boyfriend, whatever the hell the guy is, he didn't kill her, okay? There's drugs in her system. You know, if she was found under the bridge, she probably took him herself. There was no violence that was outwardly visible of any kind. I think it's really clear. Guess we still gotta wait, see what happens. I was just checking on John Lorden. He's going to be, sounds like he'll be back to his regular routine after the 4th. That's cool. Oh, yeah? You're teaching night school classes. Oh, wow. So, like, I'd have to do my shows during the day or something. Is that it? Like, I might end up doing that someday where I do shows throughout the day, you know? All right, in the Nancy Guthrie case, we have... This one here is interesting to me. What does this mean exactly, you know? I mean, I know an assessor looks up the value of home, you know, assesses the value of property. It says an Arizona County assessor says she was scolded by sheriff overseeing the search for Nancy Guthrie after her office sent a tip about the case to the FBI, according to a new report. A tip. Guthrie is the 84-year-old mother of Today co-host Savannah Guthrie. She is believed to have been abducted from her home in Catalina Foothills, right? The official, Suzanne Drubby, told the Arizona Republic that the sheriff scolded her after texts in her office, which is responsible for property records in Pima County, sent data to the FBI. What the hell is that? I mean, isn't that interesting? Like, I think a lot of people just read this. Oh, that Nanos guy, he's always... I don't read it like that. I read it like, what information could the assessors have that would be part of this case? That's what's interesting, not, oh, Nanos got angry at the lady. That's what they always... These people don't know what the hell they're doing, you guys. When they write these articles, they get all focused in on, hey, let's make Nanos look bad again. But what's interesting is the assessor part of it. Why would the assessors send a tip in? What in the hell is that? That makes it sort of interesting. Hey, thanks again. Look at that. Carl with a C. Very kind, very kind. Now we got almost to 50%, just like that. The official, Suzanne Drubby, told the Arizona Republic that the sheriff scolded her after texts in her office sent data to the FBI. It was inferred that we were... See, look at, they're going over about like how Nanos handled that. Do you guys care about that at all? It was inferred that we were creating a lot of additional work for the sheriff's department due to us providing this information to the FBI. And then them having the responsibility, so the sheriff's office would have to follow up on those leads that were provided, she told the paper. Trouble was out of office, or her name is Drubby, or Drubby, I don't know how to pronounce that, was out of office Tuesday and could not immediately be reached by Fox News Digital. Man, I don't know what the hell, these people that write these articles, they're just brain dead. When I saw that the assessor sent in a tip to the FBI, I didn't even think of Chris Nanos. I don't give a shit about Chris Nanos and what he said or what he did. I want to know what the tip was that they could have sent in. Because, when you look at something like that, that actually makes it sort of an interesting element towards, a family member or something. Like, did somebody go, what would that be? I mean, how could, it seems like an assessor, I don't know where they get their data from or something, but what if something affected the value of something, or somebody called to check on the value and that was the tip? Hey, what's the value of this house? Okay, and they note it down, and then they called it and say, hey, we have these people that actually called in and wanted to know what the value of the house is, right? So that's sort of interesting. Are you guys even here? I mean, none of you are commenting on what we're talking about here. 0 people. It's amazing. What weather are you getting? Good Lord. I almost feel like sometimes I just to start all over again and come up with a pseudonym, and it's crazy. I'll wait until you guys catch up. I don't know. Right. Yeah, so I'd like to know what the tip was that the assessor sent into the FBI. Look at Carl said, let's get great of the goal. That would be great. It's been, just really a lot of effort every single night to try to get somewhere near the goal, So I want you guys to think about that for a minute instead of just sort of, blabbing away about whatever. This is pretty interesting. Like the fact that, and Nanos is upset about it. That's sort of interesting too. But at the same time, what was the tip that the assessors sent? And what would make, okay, look at it like this. If you're an assessor and you're sitting there and you're looking around and somebody stumbled upon something, what would that be that they would somehow associate something in the assessor's office data to the Nancy Guthrie case, and so much so that they thought, man, we should call the FBI on this. What do you think about that? That's weird. Like, what in the... just, brainstorm out there. What do you think? No, they also assess the value. Hey, it's Carl with a C. Man, we just needed you and Chris O'Connell to do your little battles. Yep. Well, we're at 66% now. That's pretty good. Thank you, Carl with a C again. Yeah, it is great, Sandy. Thank you for informing us that you think it's great that he... Just say thank you, Carl, I guess you guys just aren't really as interested in that as I am. I think that there's something meaningful to this. It seemed like he was very stressed, very frustrated, Doobie told the paper. I wouldn't categorize it as yelling, per se, as much as kind of scolding and expressing frustration with all of the leads he was receiving. Their obligation to follow up on them, and that my office was actually doing more harm is what they meant to say, than good by providing more leads that they just had to follow up with. So he was angry because they sent in a lead and then it's going to put more work on the sheriff's department. Now, why would Nanos be angry at something like that? If a lead's a lead, it's a good, right? So is it that Nanos and those guys already kind of know who the person is, and then you sent that in, and then it created more work, even though we know that that's not... We are not authorized to provide any information Hey guys, how about we get some support for the channel like Carl with a C is saying. He said, let's try to get to the goal. He just put in our 40 channel memberships. So let's see if the rest of you can get us there, and then it'll be like, we'll have done it. No, that's not, has nothing to do with it, Songbird. They don't mark down searching areas. The county assessor, all they do is keep track. They evaluate the price of homes and assess taxes to homes. Okay, like the taxes. Now maybe that's interesting, right? Like who didn't pay the, is there something like that? Like some kind of taxes on Nancy Guthrie's house that weren't paid. Or maybe, one of the family members home, they missed making their tax payments, so there's financial issues, and then they thought maybe that would be interesting for, the FBI to have. I don't know. Yeah, well, it's right here. It just says right here. I'll read this again. In Arizona, Jesus. Now it's an Italian Arizona, man. It's great. Let's move to Arizona, everybody. An Arizona county assessor says she was schooled. Thanks, Wild Bill and Alley Cake. So, an Arizona county assessor. So, let's just type it in. How about this? What does an Arizona county assessor do? And it says, an Arizona county assessor is elected official responsible for identifying, mapping, and determining the value and legal classifications of all real estate and business, personal property within the county. These values are then used by the county treasurer to calculate property tax bills. See? So maybe that's what Songbird was talking about. But they don't map it for anything, like they don't do like searching stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that they really just go out and assess the value of property, and then that's what the treasurer uses, they just said, to assess property tax on people, right? So then when you know that, and then when you read this, in Arizona County, I bet you there isn't one other channel that even gave a shit about that part. They're like, oh, that Nanos guy, oh boy, look at him, he's bitching and moaning. I bet Nanos has something to do. You know what I mean? But like this right here is where the real interesting part is. Okay, so an Arizona County assessor says she was scolded by the sheriff overseeing the search for Nancy Guthrie after her office sent a tip about the case to the FBI, according to a new report. And then Nanos got mad because it created more work for them. Okay, but who cares about Nanos, all right? I mean, it's really like, who gives a shit? Just think about it for a second. What matters is, what in the hell did an assessor find that made him go, damn, look at this. We got to get a hold of the FBI. And that means they leaped above, and I don't know, like, it's kind of weird. It makes you wonder. I mean, they didn't mention in the article, I mean, if you turned in information that was about Nanos and his taxes, he would get angry, but wouldn't that be the lead for the article? Like, why would they turn that? And, it's weird when you read the article. I mean, we could try, let's just go to the bottom of it and see if they... Okay, right there. Drubby was out of the office Tuesday and could not immediately be reached by Fox News. She did not discuss specifics about the tip in the interview, but said the FBI had requested information which her staff provided. Then she had a tense conversation with the sheriff. Okay, so the FBI, it sounds like, that sort of changes a little bit, that they called them and wanted that information. So it's not like they've got a tip and called the FBI. Well, how come they worded it that way at the top? After office sent a tip about the case to the FBI. But down here it sounds like the FBI called and said something. So that makes it less like, oh, they're sitting around and they go, oh my God, look at this, and then called the FBI. It sounds like the FBI. Well, I mean, it's still interesting. What in the hell was the FBI want with that kind of information? You know, the value of what? I mean, I don't know. What property was the concern there? Yeah. Last week, the sheriff and FBI, yeah, the Cash Patel thing. Okay. And then I think he said something. Yeah, this is the...
Hey guys, so kind of a strange situation unfolding in Tucson, Arizona in Pima County, which is where Nancy Guthrie obviously went missing, between the Pima County assessor, a woman named Suzanne Druby, and the Sheriff Chris Nanos. The assessor, she spoke to the Arizona Republic, says that the sheriff actually scolded her for providing information to the FBI related to the Nancy Guthrie case. She said it was inferred that we were creating a lot of additional work for the sheriff's department due to us providing this information to the FBI and them having the responsibility to follow up on all those leads that were provided. I felt like there was an insinuation that I had done something wrong by cooperating with the FBI. Again, this is what the assessor, Suzanne Druby, told the Arizona Republican, that she had this very...
Yeah, I think Nanos is just sort of like an anti-Fed. You know, he doesn't like he's, you know, obviously. Let's see what this one said. I said, why might the FBI contact a county assessor? The FBI typically contacts a county assessor to investigate public corruption, bribery, wire or mail fraud, or tax evasion involving real estate. Because the assessor's office records property ownership, values, and permits, federal agents often seek these public records for the following specific reasons. Agents may investigate if a public official or assessor allegedly accepted bribes in exchange for artificially lowering property valuations or granting favorable tax breaks to politically connected developers. Wire or mail fraud. The assessor's office is frequently the first place forged deeds or fraudulent property transfers are recorded. Agents use these records to trace illegal seller impersonation. Okay, like maybe this one. Trace illegal seller impersonation schemes where fraudsters illegally assume ownership of... What the heck? Another one from Carl C. You know, it's really Carl with a C, but you know. Thank you. Wow. We actually got to hear the cat eye sound, too. It's a miracle. Watch out, Carl. The trolls are going to send you an email and try to convince you to not support my channel, those bastards. Yeah, I think you made the goal all by yourself, basically. Yeah. I think other than you, there's been $32. So thank you. Yeah, don't worry. They're going to get a hold of you, though. They try to get a hold of every single person. And because, you know, they're just disgusting people, you know, so. Anyway, thanks again up there, Carl with a C. And there's Wild Bill Wassman. It's a miracle. All right, so in this one it says the assessor office is frequently the first place forged deeds or fraudulent property transfers are recorded. That's weird. Does it have anything to do with that? Agents use these records to trace illegal seller impersonation schemes where fraudsters illegally assume ownership of vacant land or homes and sell them to unsuspecting buyers. Money laundering. Federal agents follow the money. They use assessor and recorder databases to track the true beneficial ownership of properties being used to launder money or to identify shell companies and hidden assets linked to organized crime. I don't know. I would think the second one here would be the most likely of anything. Assessors' offices are required by law to maintain transparent records of property history, making them vital hubs for federal financial investigations. Okay, how about this? Why would the FBI want to have, want information from the county assessor in the Nancy Guthrie case? Well, what the hell is that going to say? In the Nancy Guthrie case, the FBI requested information from the Pima County Assessor's Office to track property ownership records, neighborhood changes, and construction data around her Tucson home. So maybe they were looking for any construction work being done in the area. And then they could, see who was working on those crews. That's sort of interesting. Because the assessor's office maintains exhaustive databases on local real estate, federal investigators used these records to advance their search for the 84-year-old mother of Today's Show host Savannah Guthrie. I mean, where are you getting this information? Is it a fact, or are you just guessing? The information regarding the friction between the agencies is factual, based on public statements and extensive media coverage. However, the exact technical reason why the FBI requested the specific data from the assessor are informed deductions based on how... okay, so let me go back here then. So they made it sound like this was a fact, because the assessor's office maintains exhaustive databases on local real estate. Federal investigators use these records to advance their search for 84-year-old mother of Today's Show host. Let's see, vetting neighbors and vacant homes. Yeah, maybe that was one of the things. Like, where are the vacant homes, Pima County Assessor Suzanne Druby confirmed that her office provided data to the FBI. Investigators have been actively probing the area, including specific property records regarding a neighbor who abruptly moved away just before Guthrie's disappearance. Okay, that's sort of interesting. Identification, and that was from... okay, let's see. So this is WFMD said, an Arizona County assessor, this is May 12th, says she was scolded. I never remember reading this at all. I mean, this is new to me. Was scolded by the sheriff overseeing the search of Nancy Guthrie after her office sent a tip. It was inferred that we were creating a lot of additional... right. I don't know why that doesn't seem any different than... crap. What does... okay, why... Okay. Kind of back there again. Handle the data directly to the up. Man, it was interesting what we were just reading. Let me see. Can I go back to it? That sucks. Maybe this. No. Oh man, I wanted to keep reading what that track that we were on. Investigators were compiling leads, potentially seeking property records, parcel data. The Pima County Assessor IT Department handed this data directly to the FBI. However, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, whose department was leading the investigation, was reportedly angered by this. Sheriff Nanos scolded... Okay, yeah, you're just taking that. But what type of information was the FBI trying to get? Let's see what it comes up with. Geographic mapping, tracking ownership, vacancies, or recent changes in property surrounding Nancy Guthrie's Catalina foothills. Sifting through names, corporate entities, and mailing addresses linked to specific local parcels to cross-reference with their developing list of suspects. Maybe. And then the assessor's IT department compiled this information into a specialized report. When passed to the FBI, it immediately triggered a massive list of new leads, the sheer volume of which frustrated the local sheriff deputies who were tasked with physically chasing them down. If you'd like, I can provide more details on the ransom notes or Bitcoin wallet tracking errors that have surfaced later in the investigation. The ransom notes. How the DNA and forensic evidence became a major point of contention between the sheriff. I don't really care about that stuff at all, man. I get so bored of that, you know? Like, you got these people, they spend all their time focused in on the the arguing between Nanos and the FBI. It's like, who cares, man? And I think that's led to people saying that Nanos is part of it. He's involved somehow. It's just too shady. I will say it is kind of weird that he has that really expensive car. That car is worth a lot of money, and he's just driving it around. I don't know how a sheriff there gets that kind of money to do that, but to me, it's just, I don't care about him. I don't believe myself that he has anything to do with anything in that case. Other than he's got detectives that go out and do stuff. I don't even think he does anything. He doesn't look into anything. He just... What? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if we... it would be kind of cool to have that same piece of information that they had. Where were all the people, the vacant homes in the area? Where were, any construction that was going on in the last 2 years or so leading up to it? Maybe somebody on a construction crew noticed that an old lady lived in a house there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that would be the family thing that I mentioned earlier, Wild Bill. Was there something to do with the deed related to a family member? Or did they even check up, call in, or, like, hey, how much is this worth? Yeah, it could have been, that doesn't have to be a family member. I mean, it could be a criminal, like, they got her and then, for maybe try to switch a deed. And I mean, that would be so obvious, though. I mean, you'd be caught in 5 seconds, right? Like, Let's see. The day that Nancy Guthrie dies, or right around that time, the deed to her house was switched over to a guy named Chuck Sampson. And there he is. There's Chuck Sampson. Boy, he looks just like the guy on the video. Just doesn't have his balaclava on. Why? Why would I interview Nanos? God, what a complete you don't get anything out of it. And not only that, I don't think he would come on. Like, why would he come on my show? Yeah. Yeah, the whole property angle. I'm just wondering why, so now it makes more sense that the FBI got a hold of the assessor to get that list so they can develop leads and look at it. It wasn't that somebody at the assessor's office, the way it was worded at the top of the article, was that the assessors sent a tip to the FBI. Well, it turns out it wasn't really they sent a tip. It was the FBI just asked for information, and they sent it in. I mean, what kind of a stupid reporting is that? So so that what that means is that the FBI called because they wanted to develop leads and information. Maybe there's something to a vacant home or something like that, right? Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, it turns out the FBI called over there and said, hey, can you give us this information? It's still interesting, and now it's kind of, like, oh, great, so that's what they were trying to get. But I personally don't think it has anything. It might have something to do with that type of information. Maybe there was a person that worked on a crew at some house over there. It could be that. I mean, that would give the person a hell of a lot of familiar. Let me just ask you this question. If you didn't really live right there, but you lived in Tucson, but not right there, what person, I would say, that would end up knowing the area really well? You know who those would be? It would be delivery drivers or somebody that does construction on a house for 6 months. They're over there every single day driving in a neighborhood, and after a while they just get to know it, So they get to know that neighborhood. So that's why it's sort of interesting that you might have somebody that worked on the construction of a home in the area, right? So I'm sure you'll hear this on one of these shows coming up. The same thing I just said, you'll hear 3 days from now. It'll be a breaking news, a whole video on it. Let's see. So let's say you go over here. And I remember when we were looking at this, if you go back not too long, it's like in November, maybe even before that. I thought there was construction on the house right there. I don't see it. There was like a red truck that was there. Yeah, I mean, you can have a psycho on a construction group. And you can also have somebody that might plan an abduction for ransom on a construction crew that would just happen to be looking over there. Drove by and noticed that there's this old lady. Why is that over here? That's the camera. Oh, it's over here. My brain was thinking that was the house, but it didn't look right to me. So it's right over here. I think it was over here was where the construction was. So let's go back. You go. Yeah, there you go. So this house right here had construction on it. So maybe they could get a list, who the company was, ask who was working there. And so these people, every one of these people, even if they didn't live there, would know how to get there and get in and out of the area just by going there every single day. And maybe someday they went out a different way and they went that way. And then over time, they just knew how to navigate through the area. So you have that one, and there was also another one. I can't remember. It seemed like it was just right around the corner somewhere. I think if I turned them all on, it would pop up. But yeah, right there. There was construction on that house. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's it's interesting what the FBI was looking up, and maybe that's led to some interesting people, and maybe they know more than we know. I mean, I think the FBI knows a hell of a lot more. I think there might be something. I'm kind of hoping that they already think they know who the person is, and that we're just kind of waiting. They're waiting to put the case together, and maybe that's what. I mean, that Nanos thing. I'm not sure when that tip was asked for. I mean, it's interesting that article popped out up in May, right? So that's way later. That's like 3 months later that they're asking for. And by the way, doesn't the Nancy Guthrie seem like it was 2 years ago? I mean, we're talking about it was February of this year, which is really only 4 months ago. But every time I think about it, that always kind of shocks me. I keep thinking it was like 3 years ago or something. It's crazy. Yeah, seems like something. And maybe what they were looking at is exactly, and it's kind of recent, right? May, about a month ago. And, what was that? That was kind of later. I mean, you would think they would have been looking into that already, but must have been something specific. And maybe they're putting the case together with all of that. They've got the guy, perhaps. Now they're getting like, okay, this is a construction group. Now they know the name of the person. They can bring him and interview him, and they can say, yes, I'm so-and-so. We hired so-and-so on this date. Okay, great. Somebody mentioned this construction here, like in the first week of us covering the case on a call-in show, I think. Anything's possible, Gene, but I'm not high on the family being involved at all at this point. Like, I don't think Anna or Annie or Tommaso have anything to do with it at this point. It wouldn't like shock the hell out of me or anything if they come back and say that. But it seems like they already cleared them. They were sort of interesting at the beginning, but they've cleared them. You see Savannah with their arms around all of them. So they would have told Savannah, hey, we're a little bit suspicious of... But they didn't, so... Those people just can't let that drop, though. They just keep talking about it. And there's no new information. And there's nothing really that points to them, other than Tommaso was the last person to drop her off. Because she took an Uber to their house and needed a ride home. And then people go, why did they pick her up too? Well, sometimes elderly people that don't drive anymore like to feel a self of accomplishment and, being able to, self-determination. They can do their own thing. And they'll take an Uber and make it somewhere. And that's what she was doing. And then got a ride home at night after that. They don't always do what, Karen? I don't know what the hell you're talking about. They don't always do that, though, Gray. What? They don't always do what? What are you talking about? I don't know what that means. That list was posted on a site. I don't know what that means. What list? by a site contractor, supposedly the wet list. Wasn't talking about a list. And what is, they don't always do that, though gray. I still don't know what that means. I also don't know what, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, every single day, this person up here from, even an elevated position, you could just be, for every time you drive by, every time you leave that driveway, you're driving by the house. I don't know what you're saying. Nah, that's not true, Karen. They're not gonna let her show up to a vigil with their arm around her, and you know, I don't agree. I mean, sure, I'm sure there's times where, I mean, I think they specifically would have informed Savannah because she's kind of like, you know, the main contact of the family. I don't agree. I think in this case they would have told her. But you can, you know, might be something different. Yeah, I don't know what. That list was posted by a site contractor. So the employees' names could be verified. Don't know what that means. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hello? Anybody here? Yeah, it just seems like when they walked up to that memorial and her arms were around him, she wasn't suspicious of them at all. Now that doesn't mean 100% that they don't have something to do with something. I just think it's not very likely at this point. I think if it was a family member, they would have already been arrested at this point. That's plenty of time for the FBI or, you know, detectives to find some connection in some way. They just didn't. They haven't so far. Okay, where I don't know what that means though. That he said that list is what James said. So I'm not sure what he means by that list because I don't remember referring to a list. So I'm trying to. That's all I'm saying. I don't know what that list means. Thank you, Wild Bill Wassman. Hey, we're up to $42 other than Carl with the C. I'm still shocked by the full-blown SWAT raids, which were both dead ends. That is kind of interesting, isn't it? I don't know if they're the same night, though, right? I don't know if there was two complete separate night. I mean, it was the same night, right? One was up in one area and one was... It seemed like the one of them was... I think it was, yeah, right over here. Right up in this area. So right in her neighborhood, inside my red line there. And then the other one was sort of down here somewhere. I guess we're not going to get the answer. I wasn't sure what Jason was talking about. The list. So a contractor put out a list of the people that were working on his crew. Wow, so online freaks? I mean, you know, people online could go out and, like, sleuth these people out? I mean, it's weird. Mm-hmm. But hey, guys, if you're out there, how about supporting the channel tonight? This could be a night where we make up for about 10 of the other different nights. That'd be fantastic. So if you're out there and you have the ability to help support the channel, if we take out Carl with a C, we are at 1/9 of a nightly goal. So if we pretend that he didn't even show up tonight, that's where we would be. Construction workers' names in the area. I don't know. List supposedly posted a job site by the supervising contractor so the employees' names could be verified. Said to contain workers, employees. I don't know. I don't know where that is, or like I haven't seen the list. One flew over the cuckoo's nest. I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. I'm just saying sometimes I don't know what people are saying. I mean, I think people type sometimes as if you're like in the middle of a conversation or something, and hey, thanks to Christy for the Cash App. Appreciate it. Haven't had one of those in a million years. Any thoughts out there, you guys? Ask some questions. I didn't see any updates on the bodies found in the house. However, somebody did send me an article. Do I have that? Oh, yeah. Remember the 3 bodies found in the house? Look at this crazy article that they sent from 2008. And it's not related, but it says, there was something unsettling about the large Victorian house, neighbors said. The lone occupant of 1216 Judson Avenue, 90-year-old Margaret Bernstorff, was a private person who never invited anyone inside. The neighbors occasionally talked about what was going on behind the white and green walls. They were shocked to learn Friday that police responding to the home had discovered the bodies of 3 siblings, one of whom had been dead for 30 years. Anita Bernstorff died in May at the age of 98. Frank Bernstorff died in 2003 at the age of 83, and Elaine Bernstorff died in her 60s sometime in the late 70s. And they're all just in the house. The bodies, 2 skeletons and 1 badly decomposed, were covered with blankets and in different bedrooms. All 3 died of natural causes related to arterial sclerotic cardiovascular disease. Isn't that wild? There's just this house sitting there. And there's these, the lady who more recently died had 2 other bodies in the home that died years before that. So the guy named Frank, 94, lived at the home and died in 1966. The retired assistant professor of German and Northwestern was survived by his wife, Lillian. Anyways, pretty crazy. So there are cases like that out there where people just don't even know what the hell is in that house next door. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I didn't really have much. You guys can ask questions or bring up a topic, and we can talk about that. I didn't really have. I just went over all the stuff that I wanted to go over. I think it is interesting that the FBI is looking into. They're probably just looking at every single angle, trying to find something that makes sense. So of course you're going to look at, but I think it is interesting, now that we think about it, because we've been talking about for a long time that the person must have known the area really well, especially to be able to move around in the darkness, with very little light. Even if you have headlights, you can't see very far down the road. And, and then when you look at, it could be a construction worker or somebody, those people show up every single day for a long time and get to know the area that they're in. So, and those people, probably all of them live in the Tucson area also, so they're kind of local. So that might be why you'd send a letter to the local paper. So they're local to the area. They know all the little roads and everything already, and then they know the intricate streets near Nancy's home because they were doing construction nearby there. No thanks, Karen. No thanks, because you won't be calling in, and we'll just have the same thing over and over again. Yeah, he knew the area well, etc. Yeah, I mean, where they took Nancy, yeah. Well, Brian Ent was talking about that they were taken to the desert today. That's what he was talking about. And he's spent like a 40-minute video talking about that. I don't know how you can do that. It's like, where? Nobody knows where she was taken. You can sit around and guess there. I think they were putting pins over here or something, and we don't know where she was taken, and we don't know where Nancy is. If we knew where she was taken, we'd know where Nancy is, right? Mm-hmm. Yep, Arizona's one big desert. Yep, just waiting for you guys to make some comments. Ask me any questions. Yep. Nope, I just said that there was no updates on the 3 bodies. I just went and looked. I mean, I looked earlier today. I was just reading you the similar case. Well, I would imagine that they're still getting tips and sorting through them. That would make sense. Guess we could do one of our... you want to do one of the cold cases that we do over here? The... off that website. Might have time. Got it loaded up. It takes a while to load up all the little pictures on here. But let's get some support for the channel tonight, you guys. We gotta assume that Carl with a C wasn't here. Even though, thank you so much. It'd be great to have somewhat of a normal type night to see if we can make up for like every single night this month, other than like 4. We haven't even reached the goal on the YouTube side. Like the numbers the next day when they tell you how much was brought in. We haven't made it. I just have that minimum number that I give you guys just to have something. But it's been tough. Lived where? Yeah, it could have been somebody that's been there before. Hey, if you're out there, Jason, maybe you can send me a screenshot of the list or the video that you're talking about. I feel like I've done that one. Hastings. Yeah, Geneva Hastings right there. I don't even remember what that one was, but... This is what we all look like in 1980. Right there. Everybody had that haircut, man. Anyways, Carl with the C, if you're still out there, thank you so much for your support tonight. But as you can see how slow it is, just generally these days. I think I've done that one. I usually pick, women in here because it's like they're the ones, it's usually some crazy killer. Ugh, jeez, where'd that go? Paula Van Wade. Did I do that one? I like the ones that are older too, like 1970 something, or let's see if that one exists. That one's from 1991, but newspapers.com, type in Paula Van Wade, and I think that's all you need. I mean, that name is not common. And this says 1991. Was she missing? Oh, she's missing. Interesting. Yeah, you can see that right there. Surviving are daughter Paula Van Wade, which probably means that that's her, but she's missing, and they don't say that she's not alive. You know what I mean? Sort of interesting. And that's the only time she shows up in there. That's it. I bet you that's her, though, because she's Florida and this is South Carolina. It's pretty close. Let's see. Where is Paula Van Wade? Let's see. Paula Wade was last seen at a residence at 19231 Causeway Boulevard in Land O'Lake, Florida. Wade was 35 years old at the time of her disappearance. Boy, what a great description there. Yeah, looks different in that one. Yep. Yep, some of these just don't have hardly anything. I think I did one of these one time, like that guy. I remember there was one in here that was from like way back, 19 something, 20. Hey Jessica, you don't need to be leaving your house late at night to go get carb intake air cleaner for your lawnmower. Yeah, you can probably just pick it up in the morning, don't you think? Well, let's see what happened to Dolores here, okay? I don't think I've done that one. Maybe. Hold on. Moyer. That's the only Moyer in there. Dolores Moyer. Cincinnati. Oh, sometimes this one doesn't have anything. This newspapers.com. But let's see. December 1992, was it? Yep. And then let's see. Oh, it was a joke? Oh. Okay, I couldn't tell. No, there's one right here. To residents of Ellesmere Avenue in this suburban city, Dolores Moyer was a loner and a private woman who seemed to be overly careful. She was the type of person who unplugged the washer and dryer when they weren't in use, fearing they would catch fire if she... My wife does that. She unplugs, not the washer and dryer, but like, a coffee machine or, one of those new wave ovens or something, or the toaster or anything. They're all unplugged all the time. She was the type of person who unplugged the washer and dryer when they weren't in use, fearing they would catch fire if she didn't. She would never answer the door, and she always kept it locked, the few who knew her said. On Friday, a day after the 52-year-old divorced mother of 3 was found slain in her bed, neighbors were shocked. I can't believe it. This street is so quiet. Police won't tell us what happened, said Valerie Marksberry, who lives across the street from the house Moyer owned for about 16 years. We've talked about a woman who never ever got company. She was a loner. Police in Norwood, which averages about 2 homicides a year, said they had several leads Friday, but no suspects in Moyer's slaying. Neighbors found the body at 11:30 a.m. Thursday in Moyer's second-floor apartment. Guess we can go check that out. Her second-floor apartment at 3923 Ellesmere Avenue. Oop, that didn't work. 3923 Ellesmere Avenue, Cincinnati, Ohio. All right, you guys, if you have the ability to help support the channel, that'd be great. Thank you. Right there. Almost looks like that last one that we just did. Neighbors found the body about 11:30 a.m. Thursday in Moyer's second-floor apartment at 3923. I don't know what that means. Sent an email recently. Other than Carl with a C. Thanks, Carl with a C. That's so kind of you. I don't have any emails from anybody. Now, when you say you sent an email recently, what does that mean? Can find out. I don't know. What do you mean, see if anybody can... What does that mean? See if anyone can find out about a double murder. I don't know what that means. What do you mean, see if anybody... But thank you, Carl with a C. Neighbors found the body in that house. Janet Hudley, the first floor tenant in Moyer's two-family house, said she and her husband, Greg, found Moyer after a man who identified himself as a friend of hers knocked on the couple's door saying he was having trouble reaching Moyer. Moyer was laid off about 6 months ago from J.H. Day Company, a machine tool company in Norwood, and was home every day, Hudley said. Neighbors said Moyer had 3 grown children who lived out of state. Hudley said he thought it was odd when she found Moyer's front door unlocked. She said she sent her husband upstairs. The next thing she heard were his screams. She said he sent her husband upstairs. Okay, so he went up to check and then screamed. Hudley said she and her brother ran up the stairs. I saw a blur on the bed. The phone was ringing. My brother picked up the phone. It rang about 4 times. No one was on it. I saw a blur on the bed. The phone was ringing. My brother picked up the phone. It rang about 4 times. No one was on it. No one would talk. He yelled, "Get off the phone. I have to call 911. Sure, he called of the discovery. Well, wow, that person who called, maybe that was somebody. Then Hudley looked more closely at the bed. I saw her naked leg with a bruise on it. I saw a pillow from the middle of her thighs to her waist and one up over her head. I saw the blood on the pillow. I turned away. I couldn't look anymore." Thanks, Wild Bill Wassman. I guess you and Carl with a C. Yeah, it was D3. Okay. So this page. Somewhere. There it is. Hudley said nothing seemed to be disturbed in the house. Norwood Police Lieutenant Steve Crow wouldn't say much Friday about Moyer's wounds except that there was obvious trauma. He said police had not found a weapon. Detectives weren't talking about a motive. The coroner was conducting an autopsy Friday to determine the cause and time of Moyer's death. Hudley said Moyer had complained to her about 2 years ago that she thought someone was stalking her, following her, and making calls to her house and hanging up. Wow, just like that call. But that had stopped a while ago. Hudley said the last time she spoke to Moyer was Tuesday evening, and Moyer indicated she would be busy all day. Wednesday. I gave her a carton of cigarettes I bought at the store. She said she was going to be busy all day tomorrow, Wednesday, so I could go ahead and use the washer and dryer, Hudley said. I heard a few noises up there on Wednesday. They were just noises, but I thought maybe she had someone up there with her. Hudley said she did not know whether Moyer left the house Wednesday because Moyer's car is broken down and has been in the driveway for some time. She saw no one come or go from the apartment. And isn't that weird? That's the only time. Well, maybe she's later. How about if I go like that? Okay, so now she does show up. This is the next year. Dolores Moyer, grown children are offering a $10,000 reward. When we settled her estate, we decided to offer up a reward to help the police out. So she lived on the second floor of this house up here. That's her right there. The dig into it. Well, I didn't get an email from you, though. I don't know what the double murder in DeKalb, Texas is. You'd have to send me an email with the information, so I don't have to spend time trying to even just find the case that you're referring to. Yeah, so they didn't keep covering it for a while. Wonder how she died, though. Crazy. How about, is there anything in here? Who killed Dolores Moyer? Let's see, maybe they have more in this one. Murder probe deepened. Hair, blood, and saliva samples have been taken from a neighbor of Norwood woman who was found stabbed to death in her apartment. Just she was stabbed to death. And police say they have found similarities between the December 17th... Oh, no, that was a different person. And similarities between the December 17th death of Dolores Moyer, 53, and the 1987 shooting death of Verlene Leon, also 53. No charges have been filed against the man, but court documents say he was seen leaving Mrs. Moyer's apartment the night of the murder, and that his hair color matches that of hairs found at the scene of the crime. We interviewed several other men in regards to the case, said Norwood Lieutenant Stephen Crow. We haven't accused anyone. Mrs. Moyer's body was found shortly before noon on December 17th in the bedroom of her apartment in the 3900 block of Ellesmere Avenue. The sample taken from the man are being analyzed at the Hamilton County Coroner's Laboratory to see if they match hair, blood, and saliva samples found on Mrs. Moyer's body. Well, man, shouldn't they have, done this already with IgG? Police said there was no sign or a forced entry into Miss Moyer's apartment. Neighbors and acquaintances of Miss Moyer, the document said, told police that only 2 men have entered Miss Moyer's residence in the last year. The victim's son-in-law and the man who ordered to supply the samples, whatever the hell that means, who was ordered. According to the court document, police also are investigating the neighbor in the unsolved murder of Mrs. Leon, who was found shot to death in February of 1987 in her Norwood apartment. The document and search warrant says the man frequently visited Miss Leon's residence. We've always been looking at this case, Crow said, and the case involving the death of Miss Leon and Miss Moyer are somewhat similar. Norwood police have canvassed the neighborhood where Miss Moyer lived. Neighbors had acquaintances have described her as a very cautious person who would not allow anyone she did not know into her home. Well, it sounds like her, the doors were unlocked, nobody broke in, so maybe she knew the person. You know? That's a different person. Alright, well, anyways, there's that. Crazy. And there's no more reporting after those years. That's just it's sad that they don't keep covering them, because then there'd be a chance they could get solved. Oh, they get in a fight? I didn't see it. Yeah, they fight a little bit. That's why we have the little gate in between them. But I thought you guys would... I mean, they play, really. It looks like they're fighting, but they just tease each other all the time. Like, intentionally. It's actually ridiculous. They're just like little kids, you know. Like, one will grab a little twizzle stick or whatever, and drop it right in front of the other one, and immediately take it and pretend that they wanted it, and the other one's like, wait, I wanted it now. Yeah, it's just the dumbest thing you've ever seen. All right, let's take a look at another one. $1945. Ever done that one? Carruthers. Oh yeah, Danny Miles. That was in Carruthers, California. That one's an interesting one because he was murdered and found on Nebraska and Hughes Street. I live on Nebraska Street, and in Hughes, so it's always one that I remember. It's pretty funny. Not the case, but that particular... Let's see if this one shows up somewhere. What killed Guy Carruthers? All right, here we go. Danny Miles is one that I called the sheriff on to see if... And they, you know what? We lost most of the stuff in a flood. Oh, boy. Okay. That guy, that one's brutal. It's like a 17-year-old kid, and he was found nude and had been sexually assaulted by somebody, but he fought hard, you know, and they killed him. And it was like, Jesus, what in the hell, you know? And apparently they, like, lost the underwear that he was wearing. It's just stupid crap. How about just let me do what I want to do, you know? There's a whole bunch of... How could I look into that right now, Karen? That stuff takes like hours and hours and hours and hours to try to figure out. I mean, when you say look into some of the unidentified serial killers, I don't know. I mean, I could try to do it. Oh, look at that. His name pops up in 1945. And he died on November 15th. And that one says November 15th. And there's that same... Look at that. That's funny. They put the same picture that was in the paper. Faced by a wall of mystery, Jacksonville and Duval County police officials are today attempting to solve one of the Jacksonville's most baffling murders. Early today, Guy Carruthers, veteran employee of the safety cab company, was found slain on Ramona Boulevard about a quarter of a mile south of Lake City Highway. It's not a bad idea up there, though. I know, but you you give me a suggestion of something that's like impossible to do right as we're talking. Let's look into the unsolved serial killer cases. Well, I mean, I don't know, or unidentified serial killer. I'll tell you what. I'll look up a list off of here, and we'll look up the people that were killed, and then we'll try to see what that does on some show sometime. How does that sound? And I wasn't asking anymore. I said, look, we're going to go through and look through this website tonight. So I wasn't continually asking. That was about an hour ago that I asked for other things. Early today, Guy Carruthers, veteran employee of the safety cab company, was found slain on Ramona Boulevard about a quarter of a mile south of Lake City Highway. Shortly before 8 o'clock, the taxi cab, which Carruthers had been driving, was found by patrolman F.A. Gruber. And, let's see. Well, what's the story? Right here. It says, apparently, Carruthers had been shot once through the chest with a revolver, and his slayer drove off with the cab. So he was driving a cab, and then the person drove off with the cab. The body left the body on the road, so he was driving a cab, Carruthers was, and then they killed him and took the cab. At about 5:45 this morning, W.J. Blount of Baldwin was driving into Jacksonville on his way to work. He saw the body on the ground ahead of him. At first he thought the man was drunk, Blount told Deputy Sheriff J.T. Lowe, recent graduate of the FBI school, and Deputy Sheriff J.A. Saucer, who are conducting the investigation under the direction of Chief Criminal Investigator Gene Griffin. Lowe and Saucer went to the scene shortly after the report was received. Down the road in the ditch, they found the taxi cab driver's cab. There, the trail turned cold. Thorough search failed to produce the ejected shell of the bullet, and the bullet itself, which had passed through Carruthers' body, could not be found. A search of Carruthers' body by Justice of the Peace L.P. McCullough revealed $3.50 in cash in his side pocket. The only means of identification on the body was a doctor's bill which contained Carruthers' name. His wallet, if he had one, was gone. Carruthers lived at 963 Stark Street, Lake Forest, was 49 years old, and had been with the safety cab company for the past 8 years, according to records. I wonder if I bet they didn't keep, well, 15th, March 6th. That's not the same person. I guess I bet if I put 1945, that's the only one that's going to show up. Okay. 15. That's the same. There's a couple of them, but it doesn't look like there's anything new in them. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. Well, we can check those out. I don't know where to start looking for a, unknown serial killer. I guess we'll have to, I'm sure, on, what's it called? Wikipedia, they have that. Let's see. We go over here, maybe. Type in unknown serial killers. Thank you, Wild Bill Wassman. That's Carl with a C and Wild Bill Wassman. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. Okay, Karen, you're an expert. I know. I got it. It's, I'm just looking at a page right here. Let's see. Kigali Ripper. Some of them are in all over the. Like, how about in the U.S.? Let me try that. I don't want to do the ones from other countries. There we go. Did we have a challenge in here? I didn't even know we had a challenge. Who did a challenge? There's no look at it's or anything. What was it? I didn't see a challenge. Oh, I didn't think she I don't think she was doing any. There are no official or exhaustive list of active unidentified serial killers. The most prominent examples tracked by law enforcement include the Santa Rosa hitchhiker murders. However, law enforcement agencies categorize several unsolved patterns of murders as suspected serial killers, like the Texas killing fields, the Colonial Parkway. I didn't see it. I can't find it. I just can't. It's hard to take time from the show to scroll up to find somebody's comment. I never saw it. I didn't see the look at. You know, that's kind of what I base it on. And maybe there is one up there. Oh, it's on the other screen. It's not on this one. Because I don't do that anymore. When I had the other screen up there, it screwed things up. It covered the screen, and then you guys would go, Gray, 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 Gray. There's something covering the screen. Gray, Gray, Gray. There's something covering the screen. You know, so then I quit using the Google screen. Okay. Let's see. You typed in. Let me try doing what you exact wording. I typed the same thing. Unidentified. Serial killers in U.S. And then there was like a Wikipedia that came up. See, all of these they had. The Jeff Davis 8, whatever. What is that? Sometimes called the Jennings 8 or Jennings 8 girls, refer to a series of unsolved murders in Jefferson Davis Parish, Louisiana, between 2005 and 2009. The bodies of 8 women were found in swamps and canals surrounding Jennings, Louisiana. Most of the bodies were found in a state of decomposition, making the cause of death difficult to determine. Critics, I bet you they think they died of causes of death, patterns. Brown had their throats slit, okay. The other bodies were in too advanced state of decomposition to determine. I think I've heard of those ones, actually. That was like that show that was on TV. Well, it doesn't look like you guys reached that goal, whatever it was. Yeah, well, there's a whole list right here. Maybe I'll just make a folder called Unidentified Serial Killers. Put this in there. We always thought she looked horsey when she was first publicly shown with Charles. Who? Who are you guys talking about? Oh, well, thanks, Karen. But you didn't. I didn't think you were going to be doing that. But thanks. Appreciate it. What was the double murder again that somebody wanted me to look at? Did you send me an email? Doesn't look like it. Does anybody remember what was typed up above? By, I think it was Son. Who was that? Was it horse teeth, cow teeth? I don't remember now. They wanted a double murder somewhere. Anybody? Remember earlier they typed it in? Okay, DeKalb, Texas. Okay. Jesus. Just when? I don't see it. Is it new? I don't see anything. I should have just shown right up at the top. So I guess we don't have it. Okay, well, how come it didn't show up on the top when you just said that? How come they don't show up in here? That what you just gave me, it doesn't show up in here. What do you mean Charles Beckham? What are you talking about, Karen? Who's Charles Beckham? Who's Donna Culpepper? Who are those people? I don't know what you're typing in. See how frustrating this gets? We get Bill and Sophia English in DeKalb, Texas. And then all of a sudden you type in Charles Beckham and Donna Culpepper. What does that do for me? I don't know what that means. Do a full sentence for me. That'd be great. Like, hey, Gray, here are the names of this and this and this. I don't know what's happening. I have no idea. Oh, okay, well, that's not what horse teeth, cow teeth said. She said those were Bill and Sophia English. I know, but you said for me to look at this active case that's going on, the double murder. I forget it, man. That's has nothing to do with anything. It's a trial. I'm not doing that one. Jim says he wants to marry a girl with horse teeth, cow teeth. I saw the one that you just said. when I typed that in. When I typed in double murder in DeKalb, Texas, 2025 case came up. The way it was presented earlier, it was like this active double murder that just happened. And I was going to be looking it up, but apparently that's not what happened. Yeah. What's happening? Lisa goes, what is happening? I don't know, man. I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know if I have much more to do. I think I go to sleep. I'm going to go fishing in the morning. Back out, see if I can catch something. You know? Gonna go early. Right. Okay, well, I wasn't told that it was 2 years ago. All right, you guys. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm not sure, you know. Other than, let's see, what do we got in here? We only have 19 different supports for the channel. It's the lowest we've had in a long time. Usually get like 30 something. We have Alley Cake, and then Justin, Sally, then Alley Cake, and Wild Bill Wasserman, and Michelle H, and Wild Bill Wasserman. Then, miraculously, we have times in a row, totaling 40 channel memberships. And then Wild Bill Wasserman, Alley Cake, Wild Bill, and then Carl with a C did a double cat eye donation. And then we had Wild Bill Wasserman, then Carl with a C gifted 5. Then we had Wild Bill Wasserman, Karen, Wild Bill Wasserman, and Horse Teeth Cow Teeth. So only like 5 people. 5 different people, and, you know, multiple ones from Wild Bill Wasserman, Alley Kick, and Carl with a C, and then Karen at the end there with the PayPal too. We also had a Cash App from Christy. So thank you. But man, that's brutal, you guys. I mean, without Carl with a C, we would have been in big trouble. And then if you didn't have Wild Bill Wasserman, we'd have been at like $15. That's tough to do. It just went silent. What do you mean? I looked it up and there's not much to go on. Unfortunately, Horse and said the English just that they were found deceased and at their address. Yeah. Well, let me look at that one. Hold on. I thought you were saying it was active, going on right now. Cythenia, that's her name. Cythenia English. That's her name. Let's see if it shows up in here. Yeah, that looks like the same person. Hostesses were Donna, and this is in DeKalb, see? Cheryl Fletcher, Billy Wood. Hey, wasn't that the other person's name? Billy. So that's probably that other person. And then Cythenia English. There's only one of those. That's right there, Cythenia. See that? It's not Sophina. See that? That's just what Jessica typed in up there. Maybe she has a different name. Ah, Jesus. There is no Sophina English. That's not correct. Okay, it's spelled differently too. Hold on. Sathina English. This must be them. Well, that's kind of weird. Huh. So let's see. Janice English Curtis, 61, of New Boston, Texas, died Thursday, July 22nd, 2004. So this is 2004. That's 20 years prior. But her name is right down there. This is it. That's her. Let's see. On November 17, 2024, Bowie County deputies were dispatched to the 800 block of County Road 4316 for 2 suspicious deaths. When deputies arrived, they found Billy Don English, 86 of age, and Sathina Trudy English, 85 years of age, deceased in their home. According to authorities, the way they were found indicated their deaths were not natural, and investigators, along with the Texarkana, Texas Police Department crime scene unit, were called to the scene. Bowie County investigators continued to gather information while TTPD crime scene analysts Mark Sullivan and Spencer Price processed the home. And that's all they got. I guess that's her right there. Alright, let's see. On Sunday, November 17th, 2024, Bowie County deputies were dispatched. Yep. Let's see down here. Officials investigating after elderly East Texas couple found dead in their home. Officials responded to a home in the 800 block. How come there's no more information on this? According to the Bowie County Sheriff's deputies were called to the 800 block, yes, 4316, 800 block of County Road 4316. $800 block. Yeah, well, maybe right there. I don't know. It is County Road 4136. 800 block. But somewhere on that block. Well, of course it's not normal death. Horse teeth, cow teeth. You don't need to say anything after you typed in their throats were slashed. You don't need to say that's not normal death. Yeah, we know that. You know, we're not dumb. We're not idiots in here. Yeah. I haven't seen anywhere where it says how they were killed yet. You know. Now let's see.
Because you.
All new here at 10, what started with one family facing an unimaginable diagnosis has turned into something much bigger. An entire East Texas community stepping up with prayers, kindness, and support for 17-year-old Jaden Gardner.
Anyway, I don't see anywhere where it says how they were killed. You know. I could try this one, maybe. Yeah. Where does it say that? That their throats were cut. Where does it say that? Were found dead in their Dabby Springs, Texas home Sunday. Bowie County authorities launched a double homicide investigation. And were not natural. The homicide remains under investigation with no public announcements of an arrest as of mid-2026. I just don't see where it says that. Okay, well, why don't you just communicate with them then? I mean, I can't get more information than the sister, you know. All right, you guys. I think that's going to do it. Thanks for, being here tonight and hanging out and, going over some interesting stuff early on and looking at some random cold cases. And I'm tired and I'm going to go to bed. Jesus. All right, thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. Thanks again up there, Carl with a C, and Wild Bill, and, all the regulars that are always supporting the channel. Thank you.